Mm, y'all out here in radio world on YouTube, do not forget that we have got the biscuits and Bellini's brunch coming up. It'll be April 27th from 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. I'm so excited because I told them I stay awake hours, so I'll make it. Between 11 and 4, I can still stay awake. When they have stuff at 8 and 9 o'clock, shall I just be like, I don't know. Cancel me because I'm going to make that. And then on April 26th, we're going to be at the Women's Empowerment Brunch. It is definitely a treat you don't want to miss. It's their 10th anniversary. You guys should definitely come on out. They're having their first annual ever Women's Empowerment Brunch Awards ceremony. So, good breakfast at the 12:16 that you just don't want to miss. You already know. And May the 10th, there is a play happening in Pensacola at PHS, and it is called The Good Ride. Make sure you get your opportunity, get your tickets now, so you can go and be a part of what Tammy Whitten has put down in this play. It is also an event. You just don't want to miss. April 24th to the 26th. Women on the front line and men who support them. That is a conference you don't want to miss. It's one thing to be empowered, but it's another thing to have somebody supporting that empowerment. That's why they say we better together. Okay, I'm single.
So am I.
Okay, I'm single. But I work with my sisters well. I encourage them. These are all my friends. And then I have a lady. I guess I don't know the videos. I could use. Yeah, some of y'all remember Candy Girl. And if you remember Candy Girl, I'm pretty sure your knees are hurting right about now. That's right. That was the good knees songs right then. Oh, we were doing something then. You better not say we wasn't either.
They're not.
Partying hard. Yes, we were. Listen, guys, we are back inside the studio. I am super excited to have in the house with me today Miss Sakina Fletcher. And I know you see this gentleman in the corner, but what she did was she corralled him and made him sit down before I learned his name. So what we're going to do now is allow him to introduce himself.
Oh, wow, thank you, ma'am. It is an absolute pleasure to be here with Misunderstood. I didn't know how I actually was actually able to get onto this podcast.
Really? Like she said, I couldn't think of the word corral. That's it. That's what it took.
I came in to take photographs of the event, but I got corralled to come in here. My name is Al Henderson. I'm the executive director of the Scambia Pensacola Human Relations Commission. So we're here to talk about fair housing. I'm here to support Supreme, just like that other.
Yeah.
We're here to support the Pensacola area.
I love
surrounding area.
I love that. I love that. So listen, fair housing is something that is definitely a needed talk about, a needed subject in our community, and especially in this time that we are living in now. Right. So many progressions that we have made are being dialed back right in our very faces. Exactly. And so there's got to be a way for us to still have representation
Right.
against what is looked at as unfair treatment.
That's right. That's
So
right.
I'm very grateful that we have you on today to talk about this subject, because fair housing is something that's very important
Right.
in our community.
Absolutely.
So in your line of work,
Mhm.
what are some of the major cases of, I don't want to necessarily say discrimination, but I don't know another term right now in my
Right.
brain.
Right.
But what are some of the main discriminatory situations you run into?
Okay. There are 7 protected classes, and
Okay.
then we also have 3 additional classes being in Florida.
Okay.
However, the main 2 is affecting the elderly as well as disability. Disability is the highest because they're being taken so much advantage of, and they don't know any better.
Gotcha.
So some landlords or property managers, they may not know the law, the Fair Housing Act law. I'm not going to say that they're doing it intentionally. Can't blame them. But these people are actually being taken advantage of. Is that correct?
You're absolutely correct on that. One of the things working with Sabrina is Sabrina actually goes out and does the outreach and education piece. Karn sets a lot of these events up for us, and it just educates those landlords, like you kind of mentioned before, because they may not know. But disability definitely is the number one, and it's across the nation. It's not just in Pensacola. It's across the nation as well.
Right. That's correct.
And that's awful.
It is.
So in those cases, is it and I'm asking this out of ignorance, and that's a lack of knowledge, people. So I'm asking these questions out of ignorance, and I'm asking it in hopes that somebody else has the same question. Right. So when you say disability, are you saying that they refuse to put in ramps for people with wheelchairs, or are they refusing to make bathtubs accessible for people, or is it a combination of all of those things?
It's a combination of a lot of things, that's not being said. But one that really stands out in my mind is a gentleman and his wife been living in an apartment complex for 16 years. Okay. Of the 16 years, the last 7 years, he had been asking to be placed on the first floor because he's on the second floor. Do not have access to the elevator. He's having to carry his wife down the stairs. And exactly, could actually fall.
Yes.
Even when the emergency responders had to come out twice and take her to the hospital, they had complications. Right. So for 7 years, he had been asking the property manager, look, can we move to the next first? If you don't have one available right now, could we be next in line to move downstairs? And of course, over 7 years, one had to open up somewhere. Here, there, somebody moved out. But they moved someone else in instead of moving them down to the first floor. And then there's no cost associated with them moving downstairs. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
And so, but they were trying to tell them, discouraging things. If they weren't avoiding it, it was, it's going to cost more for a security deposit that you have to put. And you cannot. And, he kept year after year asking. And then he finally reached out to us when he heard about us. Because like you said, someone out in the community may know somebody, if it's not you, that might be in the same situation and needs to move down to the first floor, But when I picked up the telephone call, said that I'm with Fair Housing, amazingly enough, there were 2 apartments readily available. Imagine that, right?
I promise, it is a very strong principle of sometimes it's not what you know, it's who you know.
Exactly.
That's correct. Yes. That's correct.
And when you know what number to dial, and when you know who to ask for, and when you know to press 2.
You just say that they press 2.
Press
go directly to right.
Get who you looking for.
Yes.
But that's an important service for us to have in our community. And I'm very grateful for you guys being around to provide it.
Yes.
So listen, as always, we got to pay them bills. So we're going to step out real quick. We're going to pay a couple of bills. We're going to come back and we're going to ask a couple of other questions about situations that involve unfair housing and how we can get Al and Sabrina on the case, baby, because they are out here being warriors for us in the landlord world. Listen, this is your girl Misunderstood. We'll be right back at RWR Live 365. You are tuned into the next generation of radio. And baby, You are tuned into the culture. Stay tuned. Therefore not receiving fair treatment or not being treated as they should be as a result. And Sabrina shared with us about an individual, him and his wife tried for almost 7 years, goodness, to get a downstairs apartment because of some of the wife's mobility issues. And it took them calling in and the fair housing department calling and saying the words, "This is fair housing calling you." And somehow, amazingly, just that one phone call sprung open 2 apartments for them. Now, I just want to say that is being made aware of your rights. Sometimes we have not because we ask not, but other times we have not because we don't know what to ask for.
Say it.
Yeah. So in that light, we're learning today what we can and we cannot ask for. Now, Mr. Al, I heard that you have a story that involves a situation with a tenant as well. What did that tenant go through?
Well, before I do that, I want to circle back to something that Sabrina talked about. Sabrina was really talking about, and you asked the question, there's reasonable accommodations and there's reasonable modifications. And those things, what we're seeing is people actually, landlords are saying, hey, we're going to charge you extra money for these things. Sabrina has actually gone in and found things where people are charging additional fees for community areas. She's found a lot of those things. At one particular time, what Sabrina is speaking of, we had a resident to call, and she was having problems with her hands. So her hands, she couldn't really turn the door knob. And so I contacted the folks and I said, hey, listen, we have a problem. She said, no, they're ADA compliant. I said, well, she's still having a problem unlocking this door. Here's a community room. She can't get in. She doesn't feel safe when she's going in to do her yoga. Let's see if we can fix that. They ended up fixing it and replacing it. But if you think about it, I think that like maybe 88 units over there and you have 88 disabled people.
Oh, wow.
And so now, even though we're claiming and say we have that one person, I'm just going to call her Miss Smith.
Okay.
To contact us, but we actually impacted 88 other people.
Yes.
And Sabrina does a lot of that. She's the humanizing part of this. I love the data and the number and the stats, but when people contact our office, it's always crisis mode.
Yeah.
And so Sabrina has to handle and field those calls. And so, one particular time, I'm just going to hush up, but one particular time, she actually had someone to call and they were actually going in and taking part of their Medicare money to pay for rent increases.
Oh, wow.
And that was for everyone in the apartment complex. They were doing that, trying to take it from Medicare.
Oh, wow.
Now, Miss Fletcher got on the phone and
hey, this fair housing.
Yeah.
What you doing?
And that sounds like a scam.
Yeah, so they had to reimburse the tenants their money. The ones that they had to, maybe, and it could have been a lawsuit for them even trying to do that.
Absolutely.
So, I'm sorry.
That sounded like a scam. It sounded like a whole Ponzi scheme right there.
No, go ahead. I'm sorry.
She's definitely humanizing part of it.
I'm passionate. I'm very passionate about it.
And I love that, though. I love that you need people that are going to be passionate about taking care of other people. Nobody wants a nonchalant nurse.
Right. Tell me about it.
Nobody wants somebody with a whole I don't give a care attitude taking care of their family.
That's right.
And so in that light, that's what you guys do. You take care of families. Right. You take care of family members. Sometimes the family members don't know how to help their families in the way that you guys do. So you're surrogates in a sort of way for family members to make sure that their family members are taken care of.
Correct.
I live here. I have nieces here. I have family here, but I don't have children here and I don't have a sibling here. Okay. So if something happens, I need my family that is here to have some way to make sure I'm properly taken care of.
Exactly.
And I feel like that's what you guys do. You help provide.
We fill in the gap.
Yes, you provide an additional service so that the families can feel safe about their family members.
Exactly.
Yeah, super important.
Yeah.
Super important.
Yeah.
So when people have an issue, how can they get in contact with Fair Housing?
Oh, absolutely. Please contact us at 850-754-1500. Fair Housing is at extension 2.
Okay. And it's 1500? Extension 2.
Extension 2. Or please feel free to email me. And you can email me at sfletcher@ephrc.com.
I'm sorry, EPH?
ephrc.com.
All right.
Now, I do want to say that also on our website, the EPHRC website, which is ephrc.com, they can actually fill out an inquiry to get, a complaint in if they're unable to call or email. Okay. Yes.
Well, I want to thank you guys so much for coming on and helping us out today with more of the fair housing information and how we can talk and get that discussion out to other people.
Yes, it's important.
Yes, it is. It is for us to know that information, and the fact that we have the information is how we process it and get it out and make it known so that others aren't suffering unnecessarily.
That's true.
So thank you guys so much for coming in.
So much love going out to you and being here and inviting us.
Thank you guys so much for coming in. And don't wait until next April. Let's make the fair housing conversation an every month conversation. Come back once a month and talk to us and make sure we keep this thing alive and on the forefront.
Okay, I definitely will.
So y'all heard them. I got them. I got them. They said it.
We got a lot more to talk about.
Y'all heard them. They said
plenty to talk about.
They said they would be back. So we're going to look for you guys in the month of May.
Okay, then.
Right here at RWR Live 365. You have been listening